where there's light, there has to be dark. Where there's dark, there has to be light. So where there's pain, there's an opportunity to learn or an opportunity to grow. I mean, if you think about when you were learning to walk, okay, or your brother, you probably already observed your brother, okay, learning to walk. So he would have had, let's say, lost his balance and toppled over, hurt himself, and then he's had to sort of get up and find his balance again, and he might have, toppled over again. But gradually, through the pain, he learns how to find his balance. So we can't have the day without the night. We can't have the summer without the winter. We can't have the learning or the personal growth without the pain and the problems. So that's one of the things that I do in story image therapy, is help people to see the light, which is the lessons, out of the dark.
Wow.
Yeah.
And if someone were to do this approach by themselves, is there a methodology or a way of doing this that would allow them to do it by themselves? Is it like journaling? Is there dream journaling? Or would you not recommend any of that?
I think dream journaling is excellent. Sometimes people don't necessarily know quite how to analyze their dreams. I mean, Jung was certainly an expert. He analyzed over 2,000 of his own dreams,
Wow.
and journaled it, etc. I actually have done my own sit shadow work and journaling, my journey of being triggered. So I was triggered in my job when I was 38, and I had feelings that were reminiscent of when I was a teenager. So I had very difficult teenage years. And when I was in my job, I got triggered by the things that I hadn't worked through as a teenager, because most teenagers don't want to work through their stuff. And it's not until later that we recognize the complexes in our shadow. And that's what happened to me at 38. And then 10 years later, at 48, I had the similar feelings coming back again. So again, my complexes in my shadow were triggered. And that's when I got really interested and started to develop sit shadow work. And so I actually started journaling my journey of healing. And that became my second book. It wasn't intentional. I didn't set out to write a book. The journaling that I did as part of my own healing process is what became that book. So I've actually got step by step how I've done that in my second book. It's called The Rise of Jung in Me.
Yep.
And I've also got 6 case studies of how I've done story image therapy, sit shadow work with young people to heal their complexes as well in their shadow.
Wow.
So that's also in the book. Yeah.
And if it's okay with you, would you mind just giving us a quick overview of those 6 steps? Just a brief 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Well, they were 6 case studies of individuals, individuals that I had counselled, and they were kind enough, young people, kind enough to allow me to share their story with others. Obviously, all identifying information was removed, but they're sharing their story of their own healing process using sit shadow work. So that's in The Rise of Jung in Me as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
So, yeah.
So if someone were to analyze their dreams, for example, like I had a bunch of weird dreams last night, and I think that we all do, whether or not we remember all of them is another story.
Sure.
Do you recommend, I'm just going to go through some myths, or rather some principles I've heard about shadow work, and maybe we can clarify them or make them a bit clearer. So one of the narratives I've heard is that, or the stories or the ways of doing things, is that you first thing in the morning when you have these dreams that you remember, just write them down. Is it the best way to start to tap into the unconscious, or is that not true?